Felix awoke in a strange room and a strange bed. A dim light came in through the lone window in the wall, and Felix blinked, trying to focus his eyes. The first thing he saw was Uncle Albert's face. "Worthless boy," Uncle Albert said. He smiled softly. Worthless? This boy? He very likely saved the city. Felix turned. Alexander Cartwright sat on the other side of his bed, holding a cane. "Do not overstate the matter," Uncle Albert said. "Where?" Felix tried. "The Brooklyn City Hospital," Cartwright said, "or what will be." Felix saw now that there were 3 other beds in the small room, all with patients in them. He tried to sit up, but pain in his stomach and legs pushed him down again. "Don't stir," Uncle Albert said. "You're still unwell. The explosion caught you as you ran through the door. It threw you all the way across the street. Do you remember?" Felix closed his eyes. He remembered flying through the air, scoring an ace. "The building?" Felix asked. "It came down in time," Cartwright said. "The fire was contained, but it's been burning for days." "Days?" "You've been unconscious for some time now," Uncle Albert said. "Your Aunt Janelle has been very worried about you." "Though she hasn't been the one at your side day and night," Cartwright said. Uncle Albert blushed, something Felix had never seen before, and he stood with his hat in his hands. "My legs feel strange," Felix said. "Cold." Uncle Albert put a blanket on Felix's legs. I must go and tell Janelle," he said. "She will want to know you are awake." Uncle Albert put a hand to Felix's shoulder, then left quickly. Cartwright stood with the help of his cane and went over to the window. "It's still smoldering, you know. They say the smoke plume can be seen 200 miles away. It's all gone now. The last of what was New Amsterdam lays in ruins." "New Amsterdam?" "What they once called New York when it was a Dutch settlement. Didn't you know? That's where we got our name, the Knickerbockers. That's the word people use for the Dutch settlers and their descendants. It's from that Irving novel, I think." Felix had no idea what novel Cartwright was talking about, but it didn't matter. "I wonder how many Knickerbockers there really are left in New York," Cartwright said. "Everything's changing so fast. I imagine everything that burned down will be replaced within a year. Newer, bigger, better." "Your leg, sir," Felix said. "Is it greatly injured?" "What, this?" Cartwright said. "A sprain. I'll be running the bases again in no time." Cartwright caught himself as though he had said something he hadn't meant to, and turned again to the window. "Your uncle tells me you stowed away to come here, young squire, that you ran away from home. I wonder, were you running to America or away from something else?" "Both, I suppose," Felix said. "Things were so bad in Bremen, no work, no food, and everyone said there was both in America, that a man could make his fortune here no matter where he came from or what he started with. My father had no money to come, so I ran away and hid on a ship. I came here to work and make money and earn enough to bring my family over so we could be happy again." "Do you regret it, coming here?" "Oh, no. I miss my family, but I've almost saved enough to bring them to America. And then I can show them Broadway and the fine ladies in their dresses and the pigs and the 5-story department stores and baseball." Cartwright laughed. "I think maybe baseball is America. The spirit of it, at least. Something we brought with us from the old world and made our own, the way we made this country." He turned from the window. "I'm getting ready to run away myself, I think. West to California. They say the hills are full of gold." Uncle Albert came back in then, bringing Aunt Janelle with him. She smothered Felix in her embrace. "I think I'll turn you over to your aunt and uncle," Cartwright said. But Uncle Albert and Aunt Janelle wouldn't let him leave without pumping his hand and thanking him again and again. Aunt Janelle even surprised Cartwright with a hug. "Goodbye, young squire," Cartwright said. He shook Felix's hand. "I hope this doesn't slow down your dreams." "What does he mean, this slowing down my dreams?" Felix asked when Cartwright was gone. "Mr. Cartwright was so kind," Aunt Janelle said. "He paid for all your hospital care. We couldn't have afforded it otherwise." "But Felix, my boy," Uncle Albert said, "we've had to spend the money you saved to bring your family to America. I'm sorry. The fire, it has put so many people out of work, including me. When the warehouses burned, there was less cloth to be cut, and with less cloth to be cut, they do not need so many cutters. I've been let go." "All the money I've saved? But—" Felix didn't understand, wanted to demand how they could just use up the money he'd put aside. but the way his aunt and uncle stared at the floor in shame told him they must have had no choice. "But there will be work again, won't there?" Felix asked. "Cartwright said everything will be rebuilt." "But not soon enough for us," Uncle Albert said. "We had very little savings, you know that. We've had to move from our apartment in Kleindeutschland. Albert has found us work here in Brooklyn, sewing suits." No, Felix thought, not that. Not living in the darkness, working his fingers to the bone for pennies like the Newmans. "But my job as a runner, I can still do that. If there are pieces to be sewn, there must be someone running them to the department stores." Albert and Janelle shared a sad look, and his aunt put a hand on Felix's leg. "Felix, your legs. They were injured in the explosion." "What? No, it couldn't be." But the strange cold sensation he had? Felix ripped the sheets and blankets off. Underneath, his legs were blackened and scarred. "They've given you a drug to combat the pain," Uncle Albert told him. "They say the pain will get better, but that it will never go away." Felix didn't want to cry, but the tears came whether he wanted them to or not. He was the fastest boy in New York, the fastest boy in America. His legs had taken him across Germany and across an ocean to a new world. It was on his legs that he had planned to carry his mother and father and baby sister away from the blight and the famine and the poverty of Bremen. It was on his legs that his family's future depended, and now here they lay, ashen and crippled like Lower Manhattan itself. Aunt Janelle wrapped him in another hug and let him cry. Uncle Albert carried Felix home from the hospital the next day, even though Felix could walk passably well. What he couldn't do was run, and Felix wondered what the point of having feet at all was if he couldn't do that. His shoes, too, the beautiful shoes his father had made for him, his only connection to the family he'd left behind, had been so mangled and burned in the explosion that they were unusable now. Felix didn't want to see them, had told his uncle to throw them away, but Uncle Albert had insisted on keeping them. The leather, he said, could be used for something else. On the way to their new flat, Felix saw a group of boys playing 3 out, all out, in a pig field. They were in between innings, chasing each other around with the ball to see who would bat next, ignoring the pigs the way the uptown ladies and gentlemen did on Broadway. Felix turned his head away so he couldn't see, and told his uncle to keep walking. Their new apartment was much like the Newmans, only they shared it not with more Schneiders, but with another family, the Smiths. They had been Schmidts, but changed their name to something more American in the hopes of landing better work. Uncle Albert was considering doing the same. There were 2 bedrooms in the Schneider-Smith home, one for each of the families, and a small kitchen where they all shared meals and sewing work. Felix's new job was stitching the broad, flat pieces of suit jackets together, while Aunt Janelle pieced the sleeves. Uncle Albert, a master tailor, did the more complicated parts. Like the Newmans, they had no windows in their flat, and in the summer the heat was stifling. By Friday midday, Felix was so sweaty the needle would slip right out of his hand. When the runner came to pick up their work, Felix would disappear into one of the bedrooms. Life went on this way for more weeks and months than Felix could count. Uncle Albert didn't change their last name, but he did join a Christian church, which gave them Sundays off. Sometimes Felix would take his free day and wander down to the docks at the end of Flatbush Avenue and watch the city across the East River recover in stages. First one warehouse, then another, then a tall office building, a bank, a dry goods store. Like Cartwright said, always newer, bigger, better. Felix saw, too, the huge masted steamers with flywheels amidships, like the one he had stolen away on to cross the Atlantic, unloading thousands of new immigrants upon the docks at the Battery as they had once delivered him. Felix remembered his first steps into this crowded new world of hope and promise, and he longed to be one of them again, a greenhorn fresh off the boat, ready to make his fortune and bring his family to the new world. There on the Brooklyn Pier, Felix resolved to start again. That night, while everyone else slept, Felix found a wine cork in the kitchen and wrapped yards of twine and thread around it. When that was done, he pulled out the pair of shoes his father had made for him. And with Uncle Albert's shears, he cut away the charred leather and trimmed what was left into wide strips. Then, using a thick needle and laces from his useless shoes, he began to sew the leather strips around the outside of his twine ball. When he was finished, Felix scratched a small S on his new baseball, an S for Schneider. Cartwright had said that baseball was America, and somehow, some way, Felix would find a way to get back in the game, even if it took him a lifetime to do it, even if it took him 9 lifetimes to do it. Felix would play ball again.